This is the Coros Pace Pro, and we're going to dive into 10 reasons why you should not buy this watch. The internet is going to tell you that this is the best watch in the world, but I'm here to show you maybe some of those things that you might not like about the Coros Pace Pro. I've bought this watch with my own money, and Coros haven't had a chance to check this video. This is just me being honest about my kind of experience of some of the shortcomings with the Pace Pro. Yes, it's fantastic value. Yes, it comes with maps and navigation and all of these fancy features, but is there a catch? Let's dive into it now. So number one reasons not to buy the Pace Pro is the maps and navigation experience. Now, first things first, you're going to be forced to use the dark themed topo maps, and what that means is basically it's going to look quite dark when you're outside there in the trails. You can't have it in a light theme. What that means is when you're outside, it's going to be quite hard to see the contrast and differences between what trail you're on, what street you're on, what road you're on, and what's worse than that is you don't have any street, trail names, nothing. So in terms of offline navigation, if you are up in the mountains or doing some crazy 50k course and you're using your map as a source of navigation and you want to change it last minute, it's not going to be reroutable and you'll have to do that on the app. So if you're in somewhere with low signal, this can quite quickly become a bit of a problem. And speaking of mental adventures, literally just last weekend I went to Snowdonia. It was minus 12 degrees Celsius, so that's freezing cold, and yeah, just crazy kind of environment, and my watch was just completely facing the wrong way. The fact that this was facing the wrong way the whole time, when I first unboxed this, I was really impressed with the improved compass experience and thought, actually, they're catching up to Sunto. I can't wait to take this out into the mountains. I tried even recalibrating the compass when I was out there in the mountains, hailstorm coming down, and calibrating the Coros Pace Pro is a bit of a pain as well. It reminded me of the Polar M3, which I thought, you know, that software felt like it was like 10, 15 years out of date. Calibrating the Coros Pace Pro, I'm spinning around the watch like crazy, I'm flipping it upside down, back again, twist and turning it, and it's just not kind of calibrating, so I had some issues there. Literally with Sunto, you go 1, 2 in the figure of 8, and then your compass is calibrated, and it's the most accurate compass I've used in the sports watch. I don't know how they've managed it over at Sunto, but no one seems to caught Sunto up yet, and I thought Coros might be getting there, but yeah, that's a letdown from me. Number 2 reasons not to buy the Pace Pro is flashlight, and yeah, this watch doesn't have a flashlight on it. It doesn't even have a screen flashlight on it. So let me show you what that would look like. You can set kind of shortcuts on different watches. So I have it on the Sunto Race S. This is the flashlight. And here we're not even talking about the Garmin Fenix or the Garmin Enduro, which have really bright flashlight LEDs actually installed on the side of the watch. But yeah, having a screen that lights up super bright when you're camping, going to the toilet in the middle of the night, or just, you know, changing head torch batteries when you're out there in the mountains, whether you're doing a recce or a race or something like that. Coros has none of it, which has been a bit of an issue for me just in terms of, yeah, practical life. Having an adventure watch with no flashlight seems to make no sense to me. Number 3 reasons not to spend your hard-earned money on the Coros Pace Pro is the missing temperature widget. Now, this is a pretty niche subject. If you're into mountaineering, into sauna, ice baths, or just kind of lake swimming as well, or you're just a bit of a nerd about temperature, I really loved having a widget on my Coros. And what's crazy is that they used to have it and they removed this feature. So for example, on my Coros Pace 2, a watch that come out, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago now, I have a feature that I can't access on the Coros Pace Pro, which cost so much more money now. So I just think that Coros should bring the widget back, and it just seems like they're not giving the credit that their customers are due. I've read a lot of Coros forums where Coros employees have said that, yeah, they don't kind of believe that us as users and customers understand the difference between what the weather widget is and what the watch's temperature is. And I think, you know, you're giving us crazy metrics like the barometer. How many of you actually know how to use a barometer? I don't think there are many people out there. You're getting an altimeter as well. Do you know what an altimeter is? Some of you might. But yeah, just getting back to these mountaineering features, but we don't have something as basic as what temperature is my watch experiencing. What that means is you're going to get really super accurate temperature readings when you're in the water or you're submerging your watch in water. It means if you go camping and you leave your watch outside your tent for a couple of minutes, you're going to get super hyper localized accurate temperature. Or if you want to measure the temperature inside of your tent, there can be lots of crazy reasons why someone might want to dial that kind of data in, and you used to be able to do it and now we can't. So I'd love for Coros to even bring that feature back as like a widget that we can add or take away if we don't need it. But yeah, the temperature widget, please bring it back, Coros. I think users would love it, or at least having the option for lots of us out there. Number 4 reasons not to buy a Coros and save your money is the music features. So music is a bit of a shit show on the Coros Pace Pro, and that's even compared to the Sunto. Now the Sunto Race S here doesn't have offline music, so it means that you can't store files on here, but it has something that I would argue is better, especially for endurance athletes, ultra runners, people that have their phone on them anyway, and I'd put myself in that category. I've always got my phone with me. With the Sunto Race S or any Sunto, I can skip a song, rewind a song, I can pause, I can play, turn the music up and down, all from the touchscreen on my watch. You can't do that connected phone stuff with the Coros. And then going a step forward with Garmin, for example, I don't have a Garmin on me at the minute, but you can actually download your Spotify playlists via Wi-Fi straight onto your watch and have all of that going on. With Coros, you have none of that. You have this old school 1990s MP3 file feature that is just such a pain in the arse, to put it frankly, and hopefully Coros improve this in the future, because it is something that's holding them back a bit now. Number 5 reasons not to buy the Coros Pace Pro is the AMOLED, and you might be thinking, but that's their top selling feature. How can you argue this point? Let's get into it. So for years, the unique selling point of the Coros was how heavily they were leaning into the memory and pixel screens. So they're the screens that don't look as good, but they have a fantastic battery life. So if you ask lots of runners out of there, what's the best battery life watch that you can get? Lots of people are still going to say the Coros brand, even though we have watches out there such as the Garmin Enduro 3, we have the Sunto Verticals of the world. People still today say Coros, and that's due to how much they invested in their screen technology. Now, my issue with AMOLED on this Coros Pace Pro is that it feels like Coros have slightly kind of given up what their brand is known for, their brand identity, for the expense of features that Coros users love. So things such as really good pricing, but also getting fantastic kind of build materials. Now I realise that this isn't like an Apex or an Apex Pro that's had an upgraded screen. This is a Pace model, so I understand that a little bit, but you're getting kind of this very plasticky feeling watch. The strap, I mean, we'll get onto that in a second. The screen isn't Gorilla Glass. We've got no titanium or crazy stuff going on here. It just feels like, have we invested so much into this screen technology at the expense of good build materials and features such as being able to have maps that you can even view? Because as I said earlier, the dark maps that have been forced upon us because the battery life of the AMOLED screen is so bad compared to the older technology, just means that we get a worse map experience. So it's kind of ironic, isn't it? We've got this better screen that has this better viewing experience, but it affects the battery so much that Coros have removed features from us, such as having a bright, vibrant map. Now it has to be this dark and dingy map, so they don't have to light up too many pixels on the watch and save battery life. So yeah, AMOLED, before you buy, just question, is AMOLED the correct decision for you? Now, number 6 reasons not to buy the Pace Pro is battery life. So we touched on the AMOLED screen and how much that's affect what you're experiencing in terms of battery life, and this is a watch, if you're a Coros user, I do think you're going to find yourself charging this a bit more than you're used to, and that might not be what you've wanted, to have those feelings of battery anxiety left. I, for example, lost my charger for a little while on this trip I did recently in the mountains, and I thought, I can't find my charger. What happens if I head out into the mountains with 45%? And then funny enough, the maps didn't work anyway, did they? They pointed in the wrong direction. But anyway, I do think in terms of battery life, if you're someone who trains quite heavily, quite frequently, you know, Coros demographic, you're ultra runners, you're doing crazy training volume, you might be charging this every 3 days, if not more, depending on your use. If you're using music features and you've spent all that time to put music on the watch and you're going out for, you know, 3-4 hour training runs a couple days a week, you're going to quickly get through this, especially because you've got that all day tracking with the heart rate and also the nighttime heart rate variability, all fantastic features. But yeah, this might not be the watch for you. for battery life. So number 7 reasons not to buy this Coros Pace Pro is the training load, and the reason is because on a Monday it resets. So you can go and do the Arc of Attrition, one of the hardest runs in the world, 100 miles through the Cornwall coastal path, starting on Friday and finishing late night on Saturday, if not the early hours of Sunday, if you're unfortunate enough to not make the cutoffs. And then after running 100 miles, you could check your watch on the Monday, 24 hours later, and it goes, yeah, training load is 0. You're good to go again, buddy. Off you go. Now, I'm not going to ignore the fact that it does have recovery time, so it will tell you in a completely separate widget of how long it will take you to recover, but it just seems a bit weird because if you're a sports physiologist, that's what I did at university, it just seems so weird to have someone's training load go from, let's say, mine's saying about 600 at the moment, drop down to 0 24 hours later just because the date has changed. That doesn't affect, because it's a Monday, doesn't affect the fatigue in Kingsley's body after he's run 100 miles. So I do think that's a bit of an oversight, especially again, Coros's demographic. People are heavy into training volume, training intensity, and maybe most importantly, training load as well. So hopefully they sort out that as an option, again, giving users an option to have their training load either kind of roll over, which is what I'd like. I'd like a dynamical training load that rolls over depending on how much training maybe I've done in the past 6, 8, 12 weeks, something like that, rather than resetting every week to 0 and then starting again. Number 8 reasons not to buy the Coros Pace Pro is the build materials and the build quality. So this is a Pace, so you can't ignore that, and typically the Pace is about being a lightweight watch for runners, I guess, and people who don't necessarily care about titanium bezels and sapphire glass screens. But yeah, I'm a bit worried. I haven't put a screen protector on this watch. If you do want one, links in the description. This is a watch that you can scratch up quite easily, and considering now it's got some heavy features such as the maps are on here and the barometer, the altimeter, this might be a watch that someone wants to consider to take out into the mountains or do some crazy ultra trail running with this watch. Does it have the build materials to kind of keep up with that life? I don't think so. You've got all of these fantastic sports on here as well: snowboarding, rock climbing, bouldering, cross country skiing, whatever it is you want to do. But can this watch actually handle it? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. The number 9 things you need to know before you buy the Coros Pace Pro is this watch strap. And I said it in my initial kind of unboxing video, but this watch strap is horrific to put on. It's got this kind of double buckle system here. So you're feeding it through, and most watches I can put on with one hand, but this one, I'm telling you now, is a struggle. So you feed it through the first buckle, then you feed it through the second, and this is where it gets tough. Okay. You pull that through, and then you've got to feed it through a second kind of placeholder, which is quite grippy as well. And it's all kind of very sticky, very grippy, not very smooth. And it's hard to get the right fit as well, because this is quite a rigid silicone band. And don't get me wrong, not all Coros bands are terrible. I actually think they make one of the best nylon bands on the market. So I've been using the nylon band with my Coros Vertix 2S, and that has been an absolute game changer in terms of how that watch looks and feels. I'm really impressed with the durability and the comfort of that strap, but this is horrific. Although it's very breathable and it's got lots of perforated holes in the band, I just feel so trapped and claustrophobic in it. If you want to make adjustments, I just think the strap's a bit crazy. For example, Sunto's strap, which glows in the dark, this is mental, but you literally just kind of feed it through, buckle it up, this little pin you push onto the side, and then you're done. Whereas if you're trying to do this on the fly with a Coros, you're going to run into problems. Now, number 10 reasons not to buy a Coros Pace Pro, and this one might break your heart, is the heart rate tracking. So I was hoping for something a little bit more accurate. So first of all, the resting heart rate tracking is terrible on this watch, and I found that to be true of most Coros watches. For some reason, I'm not sure if it's because I have fairly low heart rate, but anything below 50 BPM, this watch really struggles to pick up on. My resting heart rate, I would say, is usually most days, let's say 43 beats per minute, and this watch just can't do it. I can lay there with it perfectly placed on my wrist in the right position, tightened perfectly, I lay perfectly still, but it can't get it. Sometimes it goes as high as like 80 or 90 beats per minute, and that's when my heart rate is almost half of that. So yeah, it's really inaccurate when it's trying to lock on to my low heart rate. And it's funny because this watch itself, with the ECG tracking my heart electronical signals, proves how bad its own sensor is. So yeah, I've had some issues with that. And why I said this might break your heart is because then you begin to lose faith in the numbers. If it can't get my resting heart rate and it's 10, 20, 30 beats off sometimes, how do I trust the numbers when it's giving me like the stress tracking? I don't know how much I'm going to buy into that. With the heart rate variability, thankfully I can tell you, in my opinion, it's been super accurate, which is great. Another thing I've found, so I'm testing the Amazfit Active 2 at the moment. So this watch, again, £100, probably about $100, and I'm getting better heart rate tracking during some of my activities, such as like stair stepper, gradient treadmills, when I'm doing like a warm-up or strength and conditioning class, compared to the Coros Pace Pro, which is, you know, almost 3 times the price of this watch now. So I do think that maybe it might be time for an upgraded heart rate tracker, because yeah, me personally not seeing the best results. But anyway, this was my video on why you probably shouldn't buy the Coros Pace Pro, and I know that I've grilled this watch here and I bought it with my own money so that I could do like a bit of a fun tongue-in-cheek video, but a lot of things are fairly serious. Like, I really would love the temperature widget. I do think that you should definitely question if you are needing that AMOLED feature, and there's lots of things on here such as the maps and navigation. When I went to Snowdonia, the maps were pointing the wrong way. They were dark themed as well, so I could barely see the maps anyway, and there just seems to be lots of improvements, especially for example in the music, where yeah, this watch is kind of really lacking, falling behind even brands such as Polar. So even Polar's music, they have music controls on that watch and we're still not there yet. So yeah, Coros is an underdog that I've always rooted for. I love kind of some of their ethos, and they do seem to be investing in the running community, which is great. Hopefully they kind of fix these things or improve these things on their other watches, and this is still a fantastic watch and it might be the watch for you. And if you want maybe a 10 reasons why you should buy the Coros Pace Pro, check my other videos, because I've deep dived into all of the features that this can do. And yeah, for the money, £350 it is here in England, and I got this for really cheap off of eBay, literally like $250 off of eBay. Yeah, you can get this for a good deal, and then it starts to become really worth it, because this watch for $250 compared to, you know, Garmin for example, it just blows Garmin out of the water. So yeah, it's not all doom and gloom. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did and respect this video, give me a like, comment and subscribe. Peace out.